Welcome back to the Vintage Vinyl Basement. I'm your co-host, Jeffrey Lee Puckett with the Courier Journal. This is my good buddy Tom Heiser, who does web content for the CJ. And we're down here talking about the best of Bob Dylan.
Everybody must get stoned.
I'm going to kick it off with my number 10. It's an obvious favorite, but it's such a great song, Like a Rolling Stone.
Cut.
Too low for you there, JLP?
You think?
The phrase Napoleon and Rags just has always been something I love to hear. But at the same time, I'm more of a melancholy, more of a folksy kind of anti-war peacenik. So there are a lot more of those songs that pop up in my mouth.
I had you pegged for a hippie. My number 10, pay a little bit tribute to Bob's resurgence here over the last 15 or so years. Lovesick. It's the lead track from Time Out of Mind, 1997 album. I think Bob is on a real uptick for his last 5 records. This is my favorite of his newer songs, even though it's 14 years old.
Number 9, I'm coming in with Girl from the North Country,
nice.
Which is a great ballad.
I'm wondering if she remembers me at all. Many times I've often prayed.
It's a really, really beautiful love song, I think.
My number 9 is Visions of Johanna.
Excellent.
It's my first blonde-on-blonde cut. I have no idea what this song means, so we'll just go to Tom's number 8.
It's a beautiful song.
Oh, yeah.
Number 8, I'm going to get a little fun here. I know I like the melancholy, but I'm going to get fun with Highway 61 Revisited. God Saved Abraham, Kill Me a Son.
He said, man, you must be putting me on. I said, no. He said, why?
It just really hits you just right out of the gate, and you can't always say that about some of the stuff. But I love the first, 30 seconds more of that song.
My number 8 brings back a lot of memories.
And now, story time with Jeffrey Lee Puckett.
I don't know what year it was, but there was a...
You know what year it is now?
Vaguely. Dylan had a primetime television special in the 70s called Hard Rain, and a live album was eventually released from A Hard Rain. And it was just unhinged performance. This was when Bob was alcoholic, he was getting divorced, and he was wearing the mascara for the first time.
Okay.
And this show was on TV, and I remember my mom just saying, why are you watching that? And I couldn't even answer. I was just fascinated by Bob Dylan.
This has been Story Time with Jeffrey Lee Puckett.
So my number 8 is the live version of Stuck Inside of Mobile with the Memphis Blues.
That's deep on the list, but I love the story that goes along with it.
All right,
that was worth it right there.
Okay.
Number 7, I'm going to go with a real heart-wrencher. Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. I absolutely love that beginning. Where have you been, my blue-eyed son? Where have you been, my beloved one?
I saw guns and shot swords in the hands of young children. And it's a heart.
It is just a fantastic folky tune.
My number 7, Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll. It's from The Times They Are Changing.
No. It almost made the lead as an excellent choice, Jim.
Yes. It tells a true story, but Bob fudges a lot of the facts, but he gets the point across.
Number 6, I'm going along with All Along the Watchtower. I'm a huge fan of both the Dylan version, and I love the Jimi Hendrix version. It is really a gritty song. The opening part of that is one of my favorite lead-ins off of a Dylan tune.
My number 6 from one of my favorite Dylan albums, Blood on the Tracks, is Idiot Wind. It's a song that Dylan wrote basically in reaction to his wife, Sarah. They were getting divorced. Any relationship with a girl named Sarah is doomed. He should have known that.
You heard the ones that I love best. They with lies. One day you'll be in the grave. Flies buzzing around your eyes.
He got one of his most vitriolic tracks out of this whole relationship. Idiot Wind. Go listen to it now if your heart is broken.
I think it's time that we delve into the Magic Guest Ball.
I have a good feeling about the guest ball this week.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Louisville Mayor Greg Fischer.
My song for the week is Bob Dylan's When the Ship Comes In. He sang that at the March on Washington. He could have picked any song, but like many Dylan songs, this spoke of deep social justice when the ship comes in.
Wow.
Deep. I mean, you got to get scuba gear to go that deep into the playlist. Excellent choice by His Honor.
Top five.
Top
Heiser,
five,
what
top
kicks
five.
off your top five?
I'm gonna go very popular on the playlist, but it is such a great song, Mr. Tambourine Man. I love that tune. If I were going to play the guitar and have the harmonica, why would you not choose this as your number one song?
Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning, I come following you.
To me, it's one of the poppier, the rockier songs in my Dylan choices, anyway. But at the same time, it still has that, protest feel. The college students in the sweaters, sitting outside.
My first of my top five is Don't Think Twice, It's All Right.
Very nice.
This is from the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan. I believe, I didn't research this extremely carefully, but I believe this is the first of Bob's conflicted love songs.
We never did too much talking anyway, so don't think twice, it's all right.
It's got that great line where you're just wasting my precious time. He just basically comes right out
Yeah, okay.
and tells her to go to hell.
My number 4, It's All Right, Ma, which is a very, very dark, very
Really, I always thought this was Bob's happiest song.
No, this is a pessimistic song.
Though the masters make the rules for the wise men and the fools, I got nothing more to live up to.
It's a very strong anti-war song. That the lyric that stands out to me is, even the president must stand naked. There's not a lot of hope in this, and I think that what differs from a lot of the other folky stuff is there's always this kind of, we'll all get through this. As we'll see, the times are a-changing. Yeah. But this doesn't really lead anywhere except boom. It's a road to nowhere, man.
Speaking of roads to nowhere, my number 4 is It Ain't Me Babe from Another Side of Bob Dylan, which was my first favorite Dylan album. It Ain't Me Babe is another of Bob's pretty angry. Well, it's not angry, but he's basically telling the girl, it's okay if you like me, but it's just not going to work out.
Number 3, I'm going with one of the all-time classics, and probably one of the songs that best epitomizes what Dylan was about at that time. The times, they are a-changin'.
Yep, and they were.
Gather you people wherever you roam. Better start swimming, or sink like a stone.
For the loser now will be later to win. For the times they are a-changin'.
That is, I want to flash back to my uncles, the time with the pork chop sideburns and the turtleneck sweaters.
Was your Uncle Neil Young? Because that's who you just described.
But they do love, they did love Bob Dylan, and this more than anything, I think, really encapsulates the '60s and where the country was heading, and it takes a poet, to write a song like that, and it's always been one of my favorites.
Number 3 for me is my final Blonde on Blonde track, Blonde on Blonde, our set decoration today. Just Like a Woman.
Is that the best song off the album?
Well, it's the highest on my list. I guess that makes it the best song. As always here on Vintage Vinyl, this is not about the best songs. It's about our favorite songs.
She tastes just like a woman. Yes, she does. She makes love like a woman. Yes, she does. She aches just like a woman. But she breaks just like a little girl.
I love this song primarily because it has my favorite Bob Dylan lyric. And the reason I like this lyric so much, it's the one where he says, and when we meet again, introduce his friends, please don't say that you knew me when I was hungry and it was your world. Because at the same time, it's very vulnerable because Bob is sort of admitting that at one time he wasn't king of the 1960s.
I'm a little confused.
But he kind of sneers that line at the same time. Like, I know I'm king now, but you were the king once.
A little confused here, Gio, but that's a very slow song. Very slow, very, very plodding. I mean, I love the lyrics to it. I was just a little,
It's
surprised.
Not plodding.
Compared to some of the other stuff, I think it's a little slower.
You've picked like 4 of the slowest songs ever recorded.
But those are supposed to be melancholy. I mean, they're more melancholy.
Just like a woman is sweetly melancholy.
But sweetly melancholy. I'm not. This is we're talking about folky slow.
I think it's nice that Bob was ever sweet, even if just once.
All right, well, my number 2. We're getting up into the higher reaches here. Number 2, I'm going with "Blowing in the Wind." It's just a terrific.
There's a real rave up.
Well, it's sort of not a rave, but question number 1 pops up. Why isn't it on your list?
I'm a little bit tired of it, I guess. I'm tired of social justice and/or injustice.
You're tired of social justice? Well, I'm taking it to the streets. I've always wanted to take it. But "Blowing in the Wind" is such a beautiful song. I mean, the opening, just the 2 verses.
Roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? Yes, and how many seas must the white dove see before she sleeps in the sand?
There are a lot of people who wrote a lot of songs about the 60s and how the mores were changing and how society needed to change. But I don't think there are many of those songs that are transcendent. And this song is transcendent. A lot of those can be just kind of written off as, well, those were 60s hippie songs. But this moves beyond that.
My number 2 has nothing to do with social concerns. It's Tangled Up in Blue.
Beautiful.
From Blood on the Tracks, Bob's big comeback album from '74, I believe it was.
He was alone, the past was close behind. He's seen a lot of women, but she never escaped his mind. And he just grew tangled up in blue.
That album was so good because it was kind of more direct. I think after all the confusion that fans went through with New Morning and Self-Portrait and all that stuff, for him to kind of come back with Blood on the Tracks, it sort of got people's attention in a really good way.
Strong song.
What is number 1 for Heiser?
It's time for number 1, and you know what? I guess, I didn't realize I was sitting next to Richard Nixon. So if we don't want to talk about social justice anymore, then my number 1 song, maybe you might want to call it an outlier, Maggies Farm. Always has been. I love Maggies Farm. I ain't gonna work on Maggie's farm no more. This was the break. 1965. This was the electric Dylan.
I ain't gonna work on Maggie's farm no more.
Who needs him anymore? He's accepted. He's part of your establishment, and forget him.
Well, I try my best to be just like I am, but everybody wants you to be just like them.
This was Bob's reaction to going electric and kind of dissing the whole folk movement. It's a shame the way they make me scrub the floor.
Yeah.
He wanted to break free. So it was. I can't say that I've always liked the electric Dylan, but this was a fantastic song. It's so upbeat and electric. I've always thought it was a excellent departure.
Well, thematically, my number 1 fits right in. My number 1 is Like a Rolling Stone.
This is it. It's the first time ever ever on vintage vinyl that a number 10 from one of us is a number 1 for the other. It is antipodian. We are sitting at the North Pole and the South Pole. How in the world did you... Now, again, not that I don't like a Rolling Stone, but if you're talking about something getting overplayed, is that not, overplayed? Again, I don't dismiss the song.
Yeah, but. It, although to this day no one knows exactly what Bob is talking about.
Look,
like a Rolling Stone.
I'm staring at the vacuum of your eye.
Yeah, it's not going to get any better.
It's not getting any better. I need
It definitely is a song that I believe in ways that people still don't understand. It sums up the whole shift of youth culture in the 60s from the whole past of you live with your parents, you go to school, you get a job, or you get married. I think it sort of signals the start of the counterculture in a lot of ways. That's what you were supposed to do.
That's what I was supposed to do, okay.
But also, and the version of this song I picked is from, it's a live version, probably Bob's most famous live song ever. It was, for years it was considered to be from a concert he did at the Royal Albert Hall, but it was actually from a different hall in the UK when he was on his 66 tour of Europe. And it's the Judas concert performance where he's getting ready to play Like a Rolling Stone, and a guy in the audience yells, "Judas!" And Bob steps up to the microphone and goes, "I don't believe you." And then Bob steps back up to the microphone and goes, "You're a liar."
Nice.
And then the band kicks into Like a Rolling Stone, and they do this really, it's a slow version, but it's more intense. It's like slowed down a little bit, but it's really supercharged and intense. And the drummer, this Mickey Jones guy, does this. It is just unbelievable. It's on Bob Dylan bootleg series, live at Royal Albert Hall.
As many times as you've seen Dylan live,
Yeah.
have you ever heard that played like that again?
No, he did a really great version of Like a Rolling Stone. The best live version I've ever heard was at the Palace in probably 99, 2000, maybe 2001. It was really, really strong, but it was more like the album version.
Okay.
I would kill to hear him do the 66 version.
Well, this has been a very interesting top 10.
I like your list, Tom. I mean, you can't have a bad Bob Dylan top 10.
No, you can't. I mean, I might rethink that. Maybe Like a Rolling Stone is a little low. For those who are going to say, like, why in the world I'm choosing Maggie's Farm, I just say listen to it. I think it is a fantastic.
I loved your point about
song.
Maggie's. I've never really thought about Maggie's Farm as being a diss to the folk movement.
Oh, it is.
But it completely is.
It is a diss.
That's really great. It is Bob's Fare Thee Well.
Yeah, from the movement. And
I love it.
I can say, again, I'm taking a look at your list. I wish The Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll had made it on mine. It was, like I said, it was that close. That's a great album, and just didn't quite make it. Again, Subterranean Homesick Blues, that's the one I'm most ashamed that just didn't make it.
Well, all right. If you want to post your favorite Bob Dylan list or just your favorite song, you can go to Facebook.
All you old
With
hippies
Vintage
out
Vinyl
there,
at Facebook.
put down the crafts, put down the macros, and talk to me and Mayor Daley over here about social justice songs from the 60s.
You can also hit us up at Twitter at CJ Vinyl.
Jeffrey?
There's my mom. She's the one who hated Hard Rain. Yeah, Ma.
Did you mention his traveling blueberries?
Oh.
I almost had a Traveling Blueberries song on my list.
Whoa, Mom really needs to listen to this, go through this list.
Yeah, well, she's got good taste in blueberries. All right, thanks for joining us here at Vintage Vinyl. Come back next week for another trip to the basement.